Well, orderly. Boing.
Visions of Up.
Visions of Up.
Visions of Up.
Relevance? Context?
There is no relevance. Well, the context was it was a message that we left in Dark Souls 2 one time. On the bit where you walk out onto the sword, and you can get like the cool item at the end, but then a bunch of dudes drop down. So we said, ambush ahead, therefore, Visions of Up.
Huh.
It was Wifey's idea, and it was glorious.
I think I've seen that before, actually.
You might have seen that message. I don't know, it was on the Xbox version.
I'm pretty sure somebody else on the PC version has said it too.
Mm-hmm.
Visions of Up. Well, tonight's gonna be Filmosophy. Wolf is on his way. He'll be here soon.
Last Follower. Kilted Gamer Media. And now it's not that, so I look silly.
But today's topic tonight for Filmosophy. Pretty sure I hear Wolf coming to the door now. Wait. And there he is. Call it.
I love these dramatic entrances I get.
Hey, Lucy, I'm home.
I almost feel like
Welcome back to the stage of history retold.
the Seinfeld theme needs to play as I come in here. Not sure if I can be heard from back here, but hello!
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I've been watching some of our streams, and like sometimes my audio is low, only sitting so far away.
Shoulda got low.
But, topic.
Topic. To my recollection, we've brought up the notion of the no-win situation movie, but we've never actually dived into why we have so many problems with it. And thank you, Abel.
Why you have so many problems with it.
Yeah.
Why
no,
you have so many problems with it.
I thought you agreed with me, Foof.
No, I love no-win situation movies.
Okay, well then perfect. We've got we've got something of a debate going for us then. So, preface, this entire stream is pretty much going to be spoilers because we're talking about what I lovingly call no-win situation movies, which is basically a shorthand for everyone dies at the end.
Everybody dies at the end.
Yeah.
Especially if they're named John.
Yes. Spoiler is fine by me. Well, good to know. So I think the one that most people can think of or is a good easy jump to for this topic is Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods. There's also a few I know of.
There are tons of movies that do this, and
most incarnations of The Thing.
The Thing.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Well, I'm blanking on the title. What was the Avengers movie before Endgame?
Before it?
Yeah. I'm blanking on the subtitle.
Infinity War.
Infinity War, thank you.
Yeah.
Technically, Infinity War was a no-win situation.
Technically. The
Night of the
Circle.
Living Dead is another great example. Cool Hand Luke is another example.
But The Circle, which might be still on Netflix, was
a no-win.
Kind of a no-win situation.
And then
Halo Reach.
Any historical disaster movie or historical drama is a no-win situation.
More or less.
And a funny story about that. My father.
The Cloverfield movies.
Yeah. Yes, Cloverfield movie, a great example.
That's an especially good example because after the first movie, everyone loses.
Yes.
Especially the audience.
Yeah. Especially John Goodman.
Oh, God.
You know what the really sad thing about that movie is? No. It's that it was an unrelated script, and then J.J. Abrams picked it up and then shoved Cloverfield in the last 15 minutes of it, and that was the worst part of the movie.
Yeah, really. Especially
The
because they
bright sides,
had
we got
this...
to get the movie made with John Goodman. On the other side, just a bunch of they just threw in a bunch of garbage at the end.
It really was a very interesting movie until the end, because
even like the actress was like, really?
yeah,
Aliens?
yeah,
Really?
like it was so much more interesting when you just thought that John Goodman was crazy and you weren't sure if this was real or not. That was a great element to the story, and then nope, it is, and it's aliens, and
He was right all along.
yeah. And plus, being PG-13 didn't help that movie.
Yeah.
Being PG-13 did not help that movie in the slightest. If it could have gone all the way with it, it would have been a lot better.
Alright, so, Fluff, since you seem to like these good no-win situation movies.
Yes. So, good no-win situation movies, obviously, are examples like The Thing, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Cabin in the Woods, where they use it to its advantage.
I'm 50-50 on that.
You see, it works, specifically it works really well with horror movies. Because with a lot of, like, when you have a horror movie where someone wins, it lessens the terror. And that's why, personally, I felt disappointed with the, like, last bit of A Quiet Place. Because after a while you realize there's no stakes. The characters that aren't going to die aren't going to die.
So you're going to tell me that every Halloween movie, every Jason movie, every Freddy movie is spoiled to you because somebody comes out alive at the end?
Oh no. They still turn out well, but those I don't watch them to be scary. I watch them to watch people die.
Fair.
You don't
fair.
watch Jason to be scared. You watch it you watch it so that he can punch someone's head off of a skyscraper, and then beat a girl in a sleeping
Jason-
bag with another girl in a sleeping bag.
Jason X and Jason Takes Manhattan. Wonderful examples.
It's funny because the only like the revolutionary, supposedly frightening Friday the 13th film, it wasn't Jason. It was his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, but then on the flip side of that, you're going to tell me that Quarantine and Grave Encounters are good movies?
There's a lot of situations where something good being present does not necessarily mean that the thing is good. For example, you can have really good gravy, really amazing, thick, wonderful country sausage gravy. If you put it on a McDonald's sandwich, it's not going to do much.
Yeah. No, and I agree with and I agree with you. And I'm just posing some opposition here. I really don't disagree with you all that much.
When it works well, it's when you realize that any character, doesn't matter who they are, is suddenly at risk. You could have like movies where it pulls the rug out from under you, where it's like, oh look, this character's your main protagonist, and they're fucking dead. All of a sudden, no, they aren't they don't have plot armor. They don't have some special MacGuffin protecting them. They're fucking dead.
Well, I mean, Psycho is the best example of that there is. But with Cabin in the Woods, you're saying that works to the story's advantage. And while I couldn't imagine a different ending to Cabin in the Woods, similar to how I feel about the Jason and the Freddy movies, my point of view with these is that if everyone, I get that the message can be derived from a no-win situation film as sometimes you just can't win. That's life.
Yeah.
And I get that. But at the same time, when you go on a journey with these characters and you see them go through all these struggles, you'd like to feel that there can be some level of perseverance that they can pull through.
And a lot of times that's the case. When you have a character going through this thing, it's the hero's journey. You have the start, you have the introduction of the conflict, you have all the shit that goes on in the movie, and then eventually they come out triumphant and they grew and learned throughout the movie, and all that happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, it's fun to just watch everyone die.
Well, yeah, if you're going in knowing that, then yes.
I think it works better when you subvert expectations and you think, oh, this movie's going to be okay. Like, that's what I think Cabin in the Woods was doing.
Yes.
Like,
Oh,
if
completely.
you look at it, it's a collection of horror tropes. And then what do the characters do? They destroy the organization that is keeping these horror tropes alive, and then just end it all.
No, I completely agree. Yeah.
It's going to be a great big fuck you to all the conventions of the genre. We're just gonna have fun and kill everyone.
Well, I mean, what's her name at the end? She has the great line where she's explaining each of the trope archetypes. The jock, or the hero rather, the fool, the promiscuous one, the virgin. And she says, I'm the virgin. It's like we work with what we can get.
Wow.
So, but for here, I guess we'll enter some spoiler territory though. But on a related note to some subversion and flipping of expectation, what they did with the new Pet Cemetery, I was very beside myself on how I felt about that ending, with the way that they did it, because unlike in the original where the little boy gets the poison shot into him and that's believed to be the end of the evil, this one ends on a note that it's going to not only survive but spread. And looking at the movie, the way that they designed it, I almost couldn't see any other ending, because anything else would have been so expected with this story, especially with there being a previous version to base it off of.
Yeah.
So you saw the last time that we did a Filmosophy, I made I said that I gave 6 out of 10 to Pet Cemetery, and because there were some issues with it. I mean, it was a cheap jump scare movie, but there were elements of it, like that ending, that I actually kind of had to stop and say that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
And you brought up A Quiet Place, which I loved. I absolutely loved A Quiet Place all the way through. But I had an issue with the ending also, because the ending almost felt like the beginning of the movie. Like, it felt like it was ending at a perfect starting point for a continuing story.
Yeah.
And I get that can leave the door open for sequels, but it's like there's a difference between a cliffhanger and feeling like the script just kind of stopped.
Was Birdcage a no-win situation, or
Birdcage?
Yeah.
Bird Box, you mean?
Bird Box.
No, they made it through Bird Box. They got through.
Didn't watch it, so I don't know.
They got through that fine. I was confused for a second because I kept telling. I've continued.
Yeah.
I keep telling Woof and Mags that they need to see the Robin Williams Nathan Lane movie Birdcage because it's hilarious. And I'm just thinking like was Birdcage a no-win situation? It's like depends on which side of politics you're on.
Ouch.
But I was going for another example though. I was going to pull from, and this is a funny story from my family. My father told me years ago when Titanic first was in theaters that he and my mother went on a date to go see it in theaters. And after the movie ended, my mother looked at my father and said, it's really sad that, the boat had to sink and everyone died. Let me reiterate that for some of you. You might not get it. My mother was sad that the boat sank in Titanic. I share DNA with this woman. But, I mean, if you want to talk about a no-win situation...
Yeah.
The economy.
The economy.
Doom.
Oh my god, yeah, yes.
Depends on which incarnation of Doom you're talking about.
The movie.
Yeah, that's another one of those where the audience loses.
The Resident Evil movies.
Well, almost any zombie movie is a no-win situation, and that's one that we kind of go into accepting.
Yeah,
that makes it okay.
Apocalyptic situations, you just say, okay, it can't get 101% fucked.
Like World War Z. They figured out a way around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always like that spark of humanity, the bright hope for the future, like someone has a baby or something.
Mm-hmm. Hey, okay.
It's up, you okay?
Well,
And
yeah,
that's kind of
it's-
fun because
Yeah.
with an apocalypse scenario, you generally have the bad thing happen first.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, practically every zombie movie ever starts already mid-swing. You never get a zombie movie at the very start.
Well, or Z did.
No, because martial law was already being declared at the start of the movie.
I've actually seen a lot of movies where it happened. You get to see the like, oh look, we dropped the test tube, or oh look, they released the rage chimps.
Right, but yeah. So 28 days later, they released the rage chimps. But then what happens? Where we cut to a whole month later, and everything has gone to shit. We don't get to see that initial spread. We just kind of have to take that on faith that everything went to shit.
I think that's done intentionally for the sole reason that it's like you can't really start a whole zombie apocalypse without. There's only like 2 ways to do it.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it at all, you don't have to worry about that like repetitiveness.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Resident Evil literally did start out with the whole test tube dropping in the lab.
Yeah.
And, like that whole thing. And then it showed that, and then it showed like an hour later, things are starting to happen.
Yeah, but that was confined to the compound.
Yeah.
And then we find out at the end that the entire time that they were down in that compound, everything went to shit off screen.
On the surface, yeah.
Yeah. We don't know how that worked. I mean, there's a reason why, you really never see the whole...
Well, that's suffering from, had to play the game
Yeah.
thing there, because the game does, like, show both sides going on at the
Pretty
same
sure
time.
in the movie they have it so after the heroes get out at the end of the first one, they like try and send in units to go and like contain whatever's down there. They fuck it up, and then Raccoon City gets shit faced.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know why at the end of Extinction. I don't know why Extinction even happened, where it was like, oh, the whole world is Mad Max now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Resident Evil movies just got worse as they went on.
Yep.
At least it has Mila Jovovich in it.
Yeah. But I think the only zombie movie I can think of that shows the beginning and then kind of shows the spread was Scout's Guide to Zombie Apocalypse. And that's because they kept it contained to their town, which makes some modicum of sense.
Yeah.
Because in our day and age, especially in our society, with how zombie crazed and gun happy we are, realistically, there would be no spread. The moment the moment you see people starting to bite each other, everybody's reaching for a gun.
We call that Florida.
Original George Romero was in charge of writing the Resident Evil movie.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that?
The original?
That's news to me.
I had heard that he was involved as like an overseer, but not really that much.
Yeah, he didn't really do too much.
Not as far as actual script
Definitely not
writing
credited
goes.
as far as I know.
Yeah, not to my knowledge.
But
Not to doubt
That's
you,
one of the
Yokai,
fun-
but
That's one of the funny things about the zombie apocalypse scenario is when you think about it, it's incredibly inefficient to spread a disease by a bite.
yes.
Do you remember the time your dog got rabies, and then every dog on the continent simultaneously got rabies?
yeah.
Yeah, right.
No? Okay. Do you remember the time that another species of animal that had the ability to run up and bite you drove humans to extinction? No? I'm sensing a pattern.
Well, that's kind of like
You recognize all the times when rabid dogs and various other animals were destroyed by people with guns or baseball bats or a good boot.
it's kind of when it came to that, it's kind of why I liked the World War Z better, because the zombies weren't shamblers; they were like ant swarm,
Yeah.
pile on top of each other to get over a wall, like a lot harder to deal with.
I just like how, Fluff references the great curb stomping of 76.
But yeah, what other, like, let's see, what other ones that we got here?
Well,
What are some of the fun things we can tackle?
Well, with the no, I think part of what makes a good or a bad no-win situation is whether or not you can tell it's going to happen going in. It's I brought up Quarantine and Grave Encounters, which were really not that great of horror movies to begin with.
I mean, they were found footage, weren't they?
Yeah, they were designed as found footage. That whole genre kind of suffers. The only one that ever worked
was Blair Witch.
I will argue that, actually. There is one other really good found footage movie. Wreck.
Oh.
Okay.
The original Spanish version. Not the American remake, just the Spanish version. That shit is awesome.
We could do a whole episode on foreign films being better than American remakes. Save that for next week. How about that?
Serbian film.
I still need to actually sit through it from beginning to end. Because
I think it's actually easier to talk about how many of them have done it well. Well, I have a very short list. It begins and ends with the Godzilla reboot recently. That's about it. They're the only ones who seem to give a shit. Even if it's not the best.
Wait, Yokai, I need some clarification.
Care about the source material.
What would you love to see, Yokai? I just need some clarification here.
Tell me with your word mouth.
Yes.
The speak hole.
Because now we referenced the title, and I'm nervous you're going to say this title. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's fine.
We thought you were talking about Serbian.
I thought you were going to say a Serbian film. Yeah. Like, Yokai, no.
Please don't.
Don't do that to yourself.
I swear Human Centipede was probably semi-inspired by Serbian film.
Oh, without a doubt.
God damn.
Well.
But yeah, found footage movies definitely suffer from this. I'll say a no-win situation movie that you couldn't predict going in and still worked out well. Book of Eli. I love that movie.
The Book of Eli was...
Book of Eli. Considering the fact that Denzel dies at the end?
Hero dying at the end doesn't necessarily mean they don't win, because he still got his message across and still spread the good word.
But when you want your hero to make it all the way through and he dies...
They don't
Heroic
show him
sacrifice.
dying, though.
It's
implied.
It's very heavily implied.
Because he's just sitting there...
He's laying there, eyes closed, shrouded in white.
Train to Busan. Oh, yeah. Train to Busan.
Train to Busan was a good example of for this, I think, and also for foreign films. Train to Busan, I love that zombie movie. That was a great one.
The Last Broadcast.
The Last Broadcast.
Wait.
I'm not sure I know that one.
The Last Broadcast?
Yeah, I'm not sure I know that title.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
He's Train to Busan. Speaking of that, there was another movie that was somewhat of a no-win situation that also happened on a train. And it came out recently. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was a murder mystery.
The one I'm thinking about when you say
Express?
movie on a train that was a horror
Orient Express?
thing.
Orient Express is that's a classic story, the Orient Express.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the movie, unfortunately, but I'm familiar with the story.
Because, he found out that everybody on the train was involved.
Yeah, pretty much.
And there was no way to do anything.
Love the Orient Express. I feel like we could do a whole thing on train movies now.
Polar Express.
I'm like in a minority here. I've got issue with Snowpiercer.
See, I liked Snowpiercer.
Everyone likes Snowpiercer except me.
I'm
not saying that I don't like it.
Snakes on a train.
Snakes on a train.
Snakes on a train. Snakes on a plane. I like Snowpiercer, and then I liked it. Well, even though it's probably as far as hell fetched, the whole link to Willy Wonka that they.
Yeah, that was. What were we watching? Were we watching Couch Tomato for that?
I forget what we were watching, but they linked it to us as a sequel to the Willy Wonka series movie, and I was like,
we saw somebody did a theory or something like that. They were comparing Snowpiercer and Willy Wonka, and it was actually amazing.
It was actually very interesting how they did it, and I was like, this makes me like the movie even more, even though it's probably not true at all.
It did earn it some points for me, though. That was good. But my whole issue with Snowpiercer was that everybody was... I think it was like... I kind of was like avoiding the bandwagon because of how much everybody was hyping it. And number one, I think it was overhyped for me before I saw it. So it was kind of like, really? This is seen as this groundbreaking storytelling device? And I sat through the whole thing, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, you know what this movie is? It's Metropolis.
Yeah.
And then I almost wanted to do... I almost did this on Unlockable Content. I wanted to do an entire dedicated video just talking about how almost every movie can arguably be linked to Metropolis. And I know there are movies before Metropolis that, you can say that there's other stories that, everything. And not every movie can be Metropolis.
Man on the Moon.
Yeah, but Metropolis, 1921, Fritz Lang made one of the most iconic, and it's one of the earliest feature-length films. And you can connect so many different stories back to this movie about class structure and the ones below serving the ones above and uprising.
Yes,
I have seen the
we have it.
Yes.
The artist for Astro Boy made it. That was another really interesting.
The Astro for Artist Boy.
Astro Boy artist. But
thank you for the offering of lending the DVD. May take you up on that because I don't own a copy of the.
You don't? I could have sworn we got it.
Of the anime?
Yeah, the animated one. I could have swore, unless I'm thinking of something else.
Maybe. I don't think.
Speaking of train movies, I just remembered another one.
Huh.
Howl.
That's
what it's called. Just Howl.
Interesting.
I'm trying to
it is in the London countryside or something or another. Train breaks down because it was sabotaged by werewolves who wanted to eat everyone on board.
Yes, I have heard of this. I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it.
Metro Exodus.
And did anybody get alive at the end?
I think that what happened was, since it's a spoiler talk, if I remember right, there was like a douchebag who betrayed the last of the survivors to go and escape by himself. But then the main character who had supposedly been eaten by the werewolves, he walks up. He's a werewolf now, and he eats the douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
Ta-da!
Comeuppance.
My eyes.
But now that I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, the worst backtracking slightly, the worst offenders for this really are the found footage movies.
Yeah. All the paranormal activities have end in no-win situations with mostly the main protagonist dying.
But then you have movies where it's a good horror movie, like The Thing or The Descent, where it's like, oh wow, that hurts, but it makes sense.
I remember
The Descent. The whole thing feel that much darker and more hopeless, which is what it was in the first place.
Yeah.
I remember Descent. At the end of that, it was like, oh, it got out of the cave.
And then,
but then you've got Chernobyl Diaries, which was a fail.
No, Chernobyl Diaries.
Can you defend that one, Fluff?
Unfriended.
Actually,
defend
you know what?
Good movies with good gravy.
Actually, I didn't like the ending of Unfriended. But overall, I actually found that movie a lot of fun.
It's so stupid.
It's horrible, but it's a very entertaining horrible.
It's like, how do we redo the idea of found footage? Okay, webcamming, Skype it.
And Skype called the movie.
But
here's the thing that I liked about Unfriended, that maybe you haven't considered. The movie, had nothing to it. There was nothing really scary about it at all, and that jump scare at the very end was weak as hell. But the thing that I actually had me engrossed in it was the anticipation of jump scare. I spent the entire movie preparing myself for, okay, she's going to minimize this window and something's going to be there to jump scare me. and it never happened. So the movie actually had me built up with all this anticipation and excitement, preparing myself for something to happen, and that kept me more engrossed.
The glitches were like the only thing that really led into jump scares,
And
but
they really weren't.
some of them weren't. Yeah.
Yeah, but that ultimately does make it all the more disappointing at the end. But I have to give it credit for what it managed to do to keep me in it for as long as it did. And I said the same thing about what was that movie? What the hell? The Cure for Wellness. Cure for Wellness did the exact same thing. I spent most of that movie anticipating jump scares and moments, so it had me like up and like on the edge of my seat, ready for something to happen, and it never actually did. And I find that a better storytelling tool than if they just had followed through on a jump scare.
Yeah.
See, the best horror movies and the best horror games and whatnot are the ones that don't have jump scares at all.
Yes.
Where it's just pure dread.
Yeah.
Like a good example that gets brought up a lot is Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, something's going to pop up behind me and go bloogie woogie woo. It's like, okay, I know there's someone behind me, but I can't look because if I do, he's going to fuck my eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, pissing blimey, there's jam coming out of the walls. I'm not sure if this counts as a no-win situation type movie, and I'm slightly personally biased. The Crow.
You see, that one had that gothic, depressed air about it that you almost knew that there was no way that you knew that Eric wasn't going to like make it all the way through to the end of the movie. You know, because once his mission was finished, you kind of the thought had to hit you somewhere through. It's like once his mission was finished, there was nothing left for him.
Oh, Fatal Frame game. Yeah, I actually enjoyed the Fatal Frame games a bit. Which is like your only defense is a camera, and you can only see the ghosts when you look through the camera.
I love those. Those games, actually. I've seen I haven't played them myself, unfortunately, but the playthroughs, I love watching them. Those are great.
Oddly, my favorite horror game I've ever played, as far as just instilling pure dread and just uneasiness, Little Nightmares.
Oh yeah, Little Nightmares.
Again, you can only watch the playthroughs, but yeah, a lot of fun.
Fear
was
a game fun
where
for me.
Not only did it feel like dreadful and horrible and disgusting, it also made you feel really guilty every time you fucked up. Because you killed little precious Raincoat Child every time you did. You are a terrible parent if you let her die.
And then Fear kind of had that effect for me because it had that, like, I always had that anticipation every time my flashlight went out, I had to recharge. I wouldn't move. Like, I would just stand still, like, not moving. And the fact that the soundscape in that was, like, you know how every movie has that, like, build up to a jump scare before the silence happens, then the jump scare happens? This didn't have that. This just had, like, complete, utter silence. No music cues, no nothing. You're just sitting there like, la da da da. Son of a bitch! Just like
the other really good thing that Fear did was they mixed it up. Some of the illusions you would see from Amara, they would just be like, oh, I'm going to pop up and be spooky and go bloogie woogie woo. Isn't that terrifying? Other times it would be instant death.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey.
So you had to stay on your toes because you couldn't just go through and be content like, oh, it's just the game trying to be spooky. No, you're being immolated.
The pacing in a video game is very different from that of a movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
So... And every movie, I can't think of a single movie that has no tell. It might take a while, one or two watch throughs to figure it out, but every movie has an indicator before something happens. And I heard people make an argument that the first Paranormal Activity managed to work around it, and it didn't, because if you paid attention, they always time-lapsed right before something spooky happened.
True.
I can't think of a movie, but I can think of an animated series. Pantheon stalking.
The chaos of that show is...
Suddenly, at the end, by the way, I'm a demon. Just this character who's been with us the entire time, just, by the way, I'm a demon. Blah.
Well, that was a Shyamalan twist. I mean, that was...
That was them just ramping up the stupid factor, because that's what the show was, and it knew it, and it relished in it.
Oh, it loved it, every moment of it. It was amazing.
Something I can only watch once, and I will never watch again. I don't care if it's dubbed now. I'm not watching it again.
Yeah. But...
Sean, come here!
The only reason why that was a no-win situation is because we are never getting that second season.
Right?
The audience loses once again.
Yes.
If you want to delve into animations and stuff like that, ReZero kind of has.
The no-win situation. I mean, we're...
Not really a no-win situation, but it kind of has that, like... There's always that existential dread that's there.
Yeah, well, we never know what's going to kill Subaru and
the character,
and then how far back is he going to go. That's an element of surprise.
And how much it just messes with his head.
Yeah.
But which I'm glad they're getting a season 2 of that. Yes.
And then there's a whale.
Huh?
And then there's the whale.
And if we're going to talk about anime, again, I mean, with a complete series, it's like Fulf keeps saying, only the audience is really losing in this. I can't necessarily think of there are definitely anime that everyone dies.
Kill.
Yeah.
Not kill. Gami kill.
Nobody wins in Gaunt's.
Nobody wins in Gaunt's.
I know there's ones where the main character just continuously gets dumped on, like Berserk.
Bludgeon Angel.
Poor guts.
Bludgeon Angel. Bludgeon Angel. Perfect, Sabo.
Yeah.
Evangelion.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Get in the Ava, Shinji.
Get in,
Get in the fucking robot.
But one where the audience loses entirely, and I love Blood Plus, yeah. Blood C, Blood Plus.
Oh, no.
That's
I just rewatched that, and I tell you what, I loved it, but not because it was good. There were parts of it where it's like, wow, this had really clever, amazing ideas, like coming up with scientific explanations for vampires rather than just, die in sunlight, like calling them chiropterans, rather, like calling them by the name of the bat family. So it's like, oh, this is a beast that evolved from bats to become like humans and hunt us. It's like, hey, that's cool, that's clever. And they had Vampire Society, or it's like, oh, you have like the queens, and they have their chevaliers, and you have all the underlings that follow them. And then they hired whoever the fuck wrote it. Then they hired whoever came up with the dub casting. But then they redeemed it with whoever composed the soundtrack, because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And whoever did the writing for Diva, because she is still unironically one of the best villains in anything ever.
If you're going by the anime, yes, Elfen Lied was kind of a bit of a no-win. But if you want to go by the manga, the story continued after that, and it was less of a...
Yeah.
And...
I mean, we're just talking anime right here, I think, so...
Well, if it wasn't for all the Deus Ex Machina, there's plenty of DBZ no-wins.
Yeah.
Blood the Last Vampire, the original movie that Blood Plus and Blood Sea are based off of, that had a pretty good win. They killed the vampires, saved the day, and then went to go do stuff in Vietnam. We all know how that ended.
Yeah.
Oh, Nam. Poor Klaus.
And then they did a live-action movie of it, and it was terrible.
Most live actions.
I think at some point we should do a segment on villains, though, because I want to talk about Diva. Because everyone else in there was in an early 2000s shonen anime. No, Diva was coming straight out of Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all right, we'll plan that for 2 weeks
first on-screen appearance is killing a major character.
Well, next week we'll talk foreign films.
Right.
And then the week after that we'll talk villains.
Sweet.
Okay.
So foreign films next week, and then
foreign films next week, and then what makes a good villain the week after that.
What else do we have? Like, I can't think of anything.
Well,
There's not a lot that we've watched that are like.
Well, no,
hit
because
that no
I
win.
generally try to avoid them. Something that I can talk about today, though, because it happened to be on TV, and I was watching it. So obviously, with any historical-based film, and World War II being the easy target, most of those are you can consider to be, America wins, World War II, fine, but there are, that there's, with all the, numerous losses of life and, all the situation, like any Holocaust-based story is obviously really a no-win situation. The only person that I can really give any credit or tribute to for finding some way to turn a World War II movie into from just like a war movie or a no-win situation was I was watching Inglourious Bastards today at work. And but the only way that he managed to make that change from a no-win situation into a win situation was that he had to change history.
Pretty much.
So.
Well, I mean, what was you still haven't seen it yet, actually. It was a remake of a World War II movie. Damn, I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Dunkirk?
Dunkirk, yes.
Yeah, I still need to see Dunkirk. I do.
Yeah,
I
the new
really want
one.
to watch that.
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
But there's that. Now, you know what else is a no-win situation? Christmas Story.
Christmas Story?
Yes.
What, Ralphie?
Yes. Shoot your eye out, kid.
That's planting and payoff.
No.
I call that planting and payoff.
No, it's not planting and payoff. It's 24 hours every year of something we don't need to see again.
You can say the same thing about Hocus Pocus then.
Shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, but I can choose to watch Hocus Pocus.
For 24 hours?
No, I can watch it the one time I want to watch it, and if I want to watch it again, I can watch it again.
I feel the same way about A Christmas Story.
I have no need or want to rewatch A Christmas Story since the first time it's ever been shown to me.
Fair enough.
I have a better idea.
Huh.
I have a no-lose situation movie.
Huh.
Beavis and Butthead do America.
Shut down, Bears.
The sun sucks.
The sun sucks.
Lesbian seagull.
Lesbian seagull.
God damn. Oh my gosh.
Those kids whacking off in my tool shed.
Oh my. That made me sound like King of the Hill there.
It was the same voice.
Well, okay, that makes sense.
That was a problem that Mike Judge actually had when he was developing King of the Hill after Beavis and Butthead, because he thought everyone was going to think that was the same character.
Do I look like I know what a JPEG is? I just want a photo of a gosh dang hot dog.
Fun fact about that movie: he goes uncredited, but Bruce Willis is the voice of the biker dude that hires Beavis and Butthead at the beginning. So there's that.
There is that, yeah.
And the entire desert trip out scene, that was all animation donated by Rob Zombie.
I am not surprised in the least.
No.
If you've seen The Legend of El Super Bisto, that is right up his alley.
I have aspirations to cosplay as Bisto.
Oh my god, El Super Beasto is so fucking weird.
I love that movie.
Just starts out luchador doing porn.
Yeah. Because it's okay to masturbate to cartoons. The Japanese do it every day.
No, after that you gotta say, yeah!
Yeah, cat fight.
Yeah.
Yeah!
Do that cosplay. Yeah, I'm working on that one. I got the idea for it. I just got to piece it together.
El Super Beasto, yeah. Oh my gosh.
El Super Bisto.
Super baby.
But yeah, okay. So Rob Zombie actually being a really good example. two of his movies that I saw that I felt were somewhat ruined by turning them into no-win situations. I actually, after about like halfway through House of a Thousand Corpses, it just loses me. I love House of a Thousand Corpses up until they lead them out to the cemetery and they're ready to bury them alive, and then Dr. Satan shows up and the whole thing becomes like a weird acid trip. Like at that point, that's when the movie loses me. But I love it up until then. And that that was like a no-win situation movie at the end of that one, because then what's his name?
Ben drowns.
Otis is in the car as they're driving off, and then I saw 31. That weird like Saw-esque movie that he made where they have to go through like the
Game over.
The trial where what's his name the actor Malcolm McDowell is like the aristocrat running the murder game. I was so into it because Sherry Moon Zombie makes it all the way to the end of the game. The siren goes off. She survives. The guy has to stop trying to kill her because she won. And I'm like, and she's just walking down the road and that's it. And I'm like, you know what? I love this feeling of like this mixed feeling of victory and defeat that she has for being the only one left, but she's walking off and she's strong for surviving. And I was really into it. And then the guy that was hired to kill her at the end is just stalking her, and he's like standing there at the end of the road ready to go at her again. I'm like, you're done. You're leave her alone. You're done. Like,
Leave me alone.
but like that ruined it for me at the end. There's one of those films on Netflix. I think it's called Animal World.
Oh yeah,
the clown with the swords.
Yeah.
I'm not.
We haven't watched that. We haven't watched that yet.
Okay.
But I know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And there's also this other weird Japanese like rock paper scissors survival type of thing.
I started showing you that,
and I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't finished it yet. No, but it's weird.
It's really weird. But Animal World is like, what?
I think that's what it was called. Actually,
Are you guys talking about Tag?
Might have been Tag. Yeah.
Maybe.
Tag is fantastic.
But I had something in my mind and I forgot what it was.
I don't know.
Oh my god, no-win situations.
Yeah,
We started on a topic, and then we drifted away.
we tangented slightly. I'm trying to think about the first one that I remember actually seeing where I was like, so no one gets through at the end and it disappointed me. And I think the first one, the first movie that comes to mind for this at all was The Perfect Storm. Anybody know that one?
Yeah.
That one, because they don't survive the fishing trip, and it was just like, wow, that felt like just a waste of 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the first one with me was like one of the Thing movies. The good one. The good Thing movie.
Yeah.
And then I got really angry watching the first Saw. Like, really? Really? And then they made more, and I was like,
Yeah, that's an example of the audience losing because they just kept making more.
What? You get to watch people die, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Well,
There are two kinds of horror movies.
Okay,
There are the ones that
that's
are actually
another topic I
scary,
wanna
and the ones
cover.
that are so stupid that you just gotta love them for
Movies
trying.
that don't end.
no, yeah, that is another topic I want to cover. Movies that suffer from what is it?
Sequelitis.
From sequelitis. Need for Speed should have stopped.
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious needed to stop. Paranormal Activity needed to stop after the first movie.
I'll give them even up to the second one.
And then, but it's like every time they do it though, it always turns into something that was nothing like the original. Like the Paranormal Activity went from.
What? Are you being swatted Fluff, what's happening over there?
I think he went AFK. But it was like it goes from Need for Speed goes from a racing game to some secret agency
Yeah.
taking over the world. Then Paranormal Activity started with, oh, it's a ghost, and then it's now this demon that's just following everybody in the end of the world and the Antichrist.
Well, no, the first movie
That's the
indicated
big
it was a
issue with
demon.
sequels is they have to constantly find a way to up it.
And then Saw actually had kept a coherent story from, like, the idea of the guy's plan from...
Up until, like, the 5th movie, and then things went to shit.
Yeah, they went weird.
It got confusing as hell.
But it, like, kind of held on to it, like...
A little bit.
Him getting...
But, yes, I mean, for the life of me, I don't... Outside of the fact that they became jokes of themselves, and that was part of the fun of continuing to make them, I still don't know how the hell we ended up with so many Freddy and Jason movies.
Right?
Same thing with Michael Myers and Chucky. Dear Lord, Chucky lost track of its continuity.
Dracula 2000.
The Leprechaun movies.
Oh God, you want to talk about one that just
again?
did you hear about
Leprechaun in the hood. Leprechaun in space. Leprechaun back to the hood.
Do you know that they made another one?
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, it actually cuts out all of those other ones. It's the direct sequel to the first one.
Yeah. That's the remake, the new one that's coming out.
The new
right?
one, yeah. I think it already came out, but
Dracula 2000, where he's in a freaking space station. Space vampires, because why not?
That's Dracula 2000.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, what the fuck? What was it? Yeah. Just, no. Stop it. There's only a few things that have gone past 7 movies that are still kind of relevant. And...
Just the fact that you have to say those words, gone past 7 movies to maintain relevance.
No, and still maintain relevance.
Yeah.
Star Wars, Star Trek.
Kind
of continued.
Well, Star Trek was... I'm trying to think.
Okay, sequential.
The only
story.
ones that work sequentially for the Star Trek movies are 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, but okay, so Ixnay Star Trek Star Wars had its, series, and kind of finally finishing it up, it looks like.
Yeah.
Well,
for what that's worth, I mean...
Disney... I generally enjoy this. I know people have issues with the new ones, but I generally enjoy it.
I'm just saying that Disney is patient zero on sequelitis.
Yeah.
So... There is no end.
Well, they're patient zero. They're patient zero of let's do our same shit again.
Yeah.
But make it.
And also direct-to-video sequels. Don't forget those.
Oh yeah. No, I'm including those.
Yeah.
Talk about the audience losing out on that.
And then it's the TV show spin-offs and all that.
Oh dear Lord.
Some of those turned out okay though, because you have DuckTales and Tailspin.
True.
I love the new DuckTales.
Woo! What's another series that did pretty good and went past?
The Avengers.
Well, yeah.
That's a whole universe developed though. It's not just. If they had strictly made Avengers movies and never did individual character movies, they probably would have fallen apart.
Mm-hmm.
It did help it a lot.
I will make that bold statement, and I will welcome anyone to try and argue.
I am trying really hard not to acknowledge that's existence.
That's the entire reason why the DC animated universe doesn't work. Not animated, the movie universe.
The
animated universe for DC is fine.
I have the complete collection, well, minus a couple of new ones that they made, but I have the DC animated universe box collection. So
the animated stuff they do fine. Video games they do pretty good.
The Sonic movie coming out,
no,
that's one where the audience is going to lose.
I don't even want to know. I don't even think if the original Sat-Am voice actor voicing it would make it even better.
Getting Jaleel White back
to do it.
That might help a little, but
A little.
yeah, we do not speak of the Sonic movie.
we do not speak of the Sonic movie.
Yeah.
I swear, if the first 5 minutes is like, I want a chili dog, I'm out. I'm out.
Look, I'm still stuck on the fact that Detective Pikachu is going to be a real thing. So,
I mean, that was already a thing, though.
well,
that was
as a game, yes, but the fact that this movie is existing is something that I am
The
struggling with.
fact it's Deadpool is is something.
But it's also a perfect example of how to do something better.
Yeah.
Because you can tell the difference between Detective Pikachu, which has Ryan Reynolds, and, it looks like they're putting all their fucking heart and soul into it. Like the guy who did the designs for the Pokemon in the movie. He was that guy on DeviantArt who was constantly doing the realistic Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
They actually hired that guy. They are bringing in ideas and creations to do this thing, versus something like, let's do the Lion King again, but without facial emotions and without good voice acting or songs. Let's do Dumbo again. Let's do Cinderella again without the songs. It's less
They beat each other up again?
soulless.
No, it looks like Felix is about to throw up. Sorry, my ferret looks like he's having a moment.
Deadpool, the great mouse detective.
Hairball?
I remember the great mouse detective.
Pardon me,
Go tend to the fluffy snake. Tend to your fuzzy snake.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Still listed as roleplay events, FYI. In the description or actually on the thing?
Oh, yep. It's still roleplay rants.
What the hell? I switched it off before I... Well, I'll fix that right now. I could have sworn I fixed it.
there's water in there. Okay.
Yes, it is. God dang it. You piece of shite balls.
Sorry, I'm instantly distracted here, but
And saved.
Rolled Filmosophy.
Motherfucker.
come on, buddy. Let it out. Let it out.
See, wifey, we knew you could be the helpful one, even if you're just in chat.
Try this
A
again.
wobble. A wobble. I'm gonna keep saying a wobble until you post it. Chat, wifey. A wobble. There we go.
I guess he's okay. Seems to have worked out whatever he's got, and then he's chewing it back up. And
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Ferrets Getting Into Things Hour. Brought to you by ferrets.
all right, I'm guessing he's good.
I think we've pretty much covered our...
Yeah, I think we've covered just about everything. And sorry about running off like that just now, but ferrets do have to come first a little bit sometimes. We're talking about precious life here.
Precious and precious.
Well, I mean, you've all had the pleasure of seeing them a few times on video.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful little pieces of shit they are. So, I guess, we've covered the no-win situation movie, I guess.
Yeah, and then next time we will be doing
Next week,
foreign films.
Next week we will be covering foreign films and American attempts at remakes, and then the week after that we will be discussing proper villains and villain representation.
We'll get to talk about Diva.
And then after that, because Ellie was saying, movies that just don't seem to end, series that don't seem to end.
Take it away.
Yeah. So that's been Filmosophy for this week.
Filmosophy.
Yes. Roll credits. And be sure to watch this over again on Unlockable content. Like, share, subscribe. The Team Unstreamable and Unlockable content. Take care.
And join us tomorrow for Gaming Tuesday.
Yes, Gaming Tuesday.
Yes. Come to Gaming Tuesday. We'll have archery, hiking, search and rescue, biking, horseback, training to save you from heart attacks, keep it up and rhyming, keep it up with miming, football, limbo, science, stunting, freak out, spaceships, treasure hunting, bomb defusal, no refusal, fantasy, circus, trapeze, and fights and ghosts and paints and snakes and knives and chess and dance and weights.
Jesus.
And if it lasts for longer than 2 hours, you've
Consult
obviously
your
just
doctor.
started rewatching it again, because we only ever seem to go for that long anyway.